So for all those reasons and about a million more, Kate and I are honored to present the 2009 Courage Award to you, Gwyneth Paltrow.
What should I do with it?
I'm going to take it and fill it with beer.
Okay. Oh my gosh, wow. Thank you, Kate and Rita. Oh, this is so incredible because I've known these women since I was so small, and Kate since I was 7, and just as mothers and actresses and wives, and you are both so wonderful. Thank you for that introduction. And before I start my rambling, I just want to say that I am so honored to be honored here. I'm like a housewife in England, and I'm married to a singer, and now I'm here. It's really surreal. It's amazing. And my mother's not here. She's in New York, but I've got Jessica, I've got Mary, I've got Lucy Wick, I've got Aline. My dad's dead, but I've got my Uncle Morty over there. My husband's in Japan, but I've got Jay-Z, so that's even better. And I've got John and Rob, and these are like my family, these people, and it's just really nice to be here. So last April, I got a really bad case of pneumonia, which is ultimately what my father died of, with cancer and everything. And it wasn't clearing properly, so my doctor sent me to a pulmonologist for a bunch of tests to test the functions of my lungs. And as I was sitting in this doctor's office waiting for him to come in and tell me the results, I was completely overtaken by fear. It sort of swept over me to the degree that I lost my sight for a second, and I nearly collapsed. It was very weird. Because I was sure that he was going to come in and say that there was something terribly wrong, something mirroring what my father had been diagnosed with. And I thought about my children and what it would mean to my family. I thought about the things that I still needed to accomplish, and I felt the bitter clench of this fear wrap itself around every organ in my body until the doctor walked in and told me everything had come back normal. I was fine. And I was so struck in this moment, not only by the power of my Woody Allen-esque hypochondria, but by the thought that so many people that I love had been perched on the side of that pleather examination table wearing that pathetic blue gown and been told the exact opposite. And what would that be like? How had my father maintained his optimism and his mental strength when he had been diagnosed and treated for one of the most ruthless cancers a man can sustain? How had Dinah Wigmore, one of the most important women from my youth, maintained her elegance and true empathy during years of treatment for ovarian cancer? How did my dear friend Christina Applegate maintain her humor and sass while getting radiation on her lunch break instead of reading People magazine in her trailer? The dictionary defines courage as the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face danger, difficulty, or pain without fear. but I'm not quite sure I fully agree with that definition. Fear is a psychological response as much as it is a mental response, a physiological response. It's natural. For me, courage is knowing that the fear is not real, knowing it's a suit we're wearing, we can take it off. It's knowing that every hardship we experience is an opportunity to get closer to our mission here, however brutal it may seem. If I were asked to define myself, I could rustle up some fair adjectives that would paint an accurate picture. Courageous isn't one of them. By my own definition, I'm not terribly courageous, and in fact, this is one of my big lessons in life. When something difficult happens to me, I can easily lose perspective, become completely swallowed up in the disappointment or the sadness. Receiving this wonderful honor has made me reflect on how I can be more like my father and Dinah Wigmore. When I think of these two incredibly important people and what they went through before they were ultimately claimed by cancer, I think about how they always maintained grace. Grace is the enemy of fear. Fear cannot exist in its presence. And how did they maintain grace? By continuing to give with all of their hearts, even when they were facing the end of their lives. Of all the inspiration I could ever receive, this lesson is the most profound. Every bubble of suffering can be popped by the needle of selflessness. Courage is not about bracing for the crash. It's about the surrender to it. And we surrender by accepting, and we prevail because we put the happiness of other people ahead of our own self-interest. I have a ways to go before I live my life like this every day, but it's the courage of my father and the jokes he made as he was dying, which make me know that the soul can never suffer. And when we as a group, when we strive to diminish our human suffering, as we are all doing, each and every one of us, by being here tonight, we get closer to that space where suffering is illusory. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for the gift of this experience. A deep, deep thanks to Tom and Rita and to my other family, Kate and Stephen, for having the wisdom to know the vast amount of good they can inject into the world and do something about it. So thank you very much.